Has someone you know and care about been diagnosed with an eating disorder? This might fill you with fear and worry about their well-being, but also leave you with uncertainty of how you can support them. Watch this video for how you can support your loved one without further encouraging their eating disorder. By the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of how you can be an ally for this person during this very difficult time. I'm Meredith MacKenzie of Parallel Wellness. On this channel, we explore topics that bring clients to our therapy practice every day. You'll find tips and strategies that you can make your own to enhance your everyday life and manage your mental wellness. So subscribe to our channel and hit the bell in the corner to be notified when we post new videos. We publish every Wednesday. Eating disorders tend to be very secretive disorders, so it makes a lot of sense that if someone you know has recently been diagnosed with an eating disorder, or you suspect that they have an eating disorder, that you might really be wondering, how can I help? Because you're not exactly sure what to do. Now, while there's one single individual that is diagnosed with an eating disorder, the eating disorder actually impacts many people within that person's life, including family and friends. And so it often leaves people wondering, how can I help? How can I make this better? And how can I make sure that I'm not enabling the eating disorder or, siding with the eating disorder, which is actually going to prevent my loved one from recovering when they need to. And what us clinicians know about eating disorder recovery is that this network of people, the family and friends that are impacted and may impact and interact with the eating disorder, are actually a very important factor in this individual's recovery from their eating disorder. So it's great that you're watching this video. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope that you're going to find lots of great tips and strategies for how you can support your loved one with their eating disorder in this video. Now, it's important to note that this video is really focused on much older adolescents and adults who have been diagnosed with eating disorders, and is not really appropriate for children or younger adolescents who have been diagnosed with an eating disorder. I do plan on making a video to help parents and loved ones, caregivers, in situations that are helping children with eating disorders, but this is not that video, so please really be cautious or conscious of who the person is that is diagnosed with the eating disorder, so that you're using the tips wisely. And I can also add actually that a diagnosis of an eating disorder is not necessary in order to make use of the information I'm going to provide in this video. A lot of times, like I did say, eating disorders are very secretive, and the individual may not have even sought help, but you might have an inkling or a suspicion that that person might be struggling, and these tips are still going to be very helpful. So it's not necessary that they have a diagnosis already. Now, one goal that I want you to keep in mind while watching this video is that the entire goal of your presence in this person's life is to be on their side, to have them feel comfortable with sharing with you, to have them feel comfortable in letting you know what's been going on for them, and not in any way to really gang up on them, because those things are really not going to work for that person, and if anything, they're going to end up wanting to push you away. So it's a really challenging dynamic to be able to manage, but it's something that's really important. And so I just want you to kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're watching this video, that the goal is to align yourself with the person who's experiencing the eating disorder, and really validate and understand where they're coming from and how challenging this disorder really is for them. So my very first tip, and it really does go along with our goal of being on the side of the person with the eating disorder, is not to confront the person. It's not going to go well. What happens is people will end up really, I think, being scared and worried for their loved one. They want them to be well. They don't want them to be in a dangerous or unhealthy position. So they end up confronting them. And the way this looks is, you're doing this wrong. I'm really worried about you. You should not be doing what you're doing. You're going to die. You're going to affect your body long term. And they really tend to, all of the fear that's inside of them kind of spews out onto the person that they care about, and if anything, it really ends up causing that person with the eating disorder to build up a wall and say, I can't trust you, you overwhelm me, you scare me, and I'm not going to share anything with you. So it really does the opposite of what you're intending. I know a lot of people that want to confront their loved ones who have an eating disorder. They really just want the best for them. They want them to be healthy. They want them to be successful. They want them to overcome this eating disorder. But by confronting them in an aggressive way that really says, I don't like what you're doing, you need to change it, it does the complete opposite. So don't expect that that's going to work. And I'll try to give you some ideas of what you can do instead. And this is where my second tip comes in. when you're wanting to be able to at least have a conversation, or you want to express your concern to the person that you believe has an eating disorder or you know has a diagnosis of an eating disorder, the first thing I would recommend is make sure that you have a quiet time, a space that's safe, somewhere that you know that it's just going to be a one-on-one conversation between the two of you, so that that individual doesn't feel as though you're ganging up on them. And there's a few things that you want to be able to express during this conversation. The first is to use your I statements and discuss what it is that you're worried about, your concerns. The second would be to talk about exactly what you're noticing and the behaviors that you're noticing and that you're worried about. And the third is to express your unconditional support for that person. There's no room for judgment in this type of conversation. You really want to be having a conversation with this person that is going to be supportive and that's going to, lend the kind of scenario for that person to want to open up and share more with you. If anything, at least maybe just that you are a safe person, that if they ever did want to talk about it, that you could be that person they could go to, because they may not want to talk about it. You may be ready to talk about it, but they may not. So what this might look like might be that you say to them, I'm noticing that you don't seem to be enjoying yourself as much anymore. I'm noticing that you seem more tired than normal. I'm noticing that you don't seem to want to be doing the things that you used to really like to enjoy. I'm really worried about you. I'm worried that something is not right. I'm here for you whenever you're ready. I understand if you don't want to talk about it right now, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm worried and I am noticing that there's some changes, and if there's anything I can do to help, I'm here for you. Maybe that's not the exact script you're going to use, but using statements like that tend to, be a lot more supportive and non-judgmental for that person, and they are more likely to open up to you after a conversation that is like that, that's private and is done one-on-one. Now, my third tip is not to force food-related activities with this person. Your heart may be in a really great place of wanting to make sure that that person is eating enough meals and the nutritional content of what they are eating is really great. However, you might not be fully aware of what their treatment plan is and what they worked out with their dietitian or their counselor about what is, expected of them and what they're eating. This might actually, if you're, trying to force something on them, create much more anxiety for them, and again, build up that wall where they're exposed to something before they're ready for it, and it would really poorly impact your relationship with that person. So while your intention might be for them to, experience a new food that they've been really struggling to eat, or to have a nice sit-down meal with everybody, enjoy something that they previously had enjoyed, it might actually have the opposite effect, and it might cause more avoidance of food for them. It's really important with eating disorder therapy that the individual knows what to expect, and just for your information, typically what ends up happening is they're given a specific meal plan that they're expected to eat, and by having that meal plan, they're able to sit down and really know what to expect is coming in their day, so that they're able to be ready and prepared for it when they do eat it. So, springing a buffet lunch on them or a trip to go get an ice cream cone, it probably isn't going to go well. So I would definitely suggest do not try to force food-related activities on anyone who's experiencing an eating disorder. It's not going to go well. Now, my fourth tip is actually related to this, and that would be to engage in non-food related activities with this person. Typically what happens with anyone who's experiencing an eating disorder is that life tends to get smaller and smaller and smaller. When you really think about it, a lot of our lives revolve around food, right? So let's go grab a coffee together, and we're gonna sit down and have this coffee. Let's go for lunch, let's go for dinner. It's your birthday, let me take you out. And those experiences can be really scary for somebody who has an eating disorder, to the point that they just avoid them. So if you're wanting to, help this person out and, be there as an encourager or a support person in their lives, help them to engage in activities that don't involve food, things that are going to widen their life and help them have more positive experiences, so that you are maybe more likely to be the person that they're going to come to when they're really struggling. So my recommendation with this would be to look for things that seem like self-care. Go to the movies, doing crafts, going for a brief walk, and that's something that they might need to talk to you about as well, as what's their activity level, what are they allowed to be doing on their treatment plan, but doing things that are going to be seen for them as an opportunity to enjoy something and not to feel terrified about the possibility of eating something. Now, there may come a time in your loved one's recovery process where they're needing somebody to do meal support with them. Now, what meal support is it's an opportunity for that person to eat a snack or a meal, and to do so with the encouragement and support of somebody that they really care about and trust sitting nearby them. So what that means is, they might be having a really tough time with eating this particular food group, or eating an entire meal, or eating, in a time frame that is pretty typical for somebody to finish a meal in, because maybe they're having a really hard time with, doing that in a shorter period of time. And you would be that person to be a support. So offer yourself as that and be their meal support buddy when they're needing it. That would be a really great way that when they're ready, you can be there for them to be able to be eating more frequently, trying new foods. And when you allow your loved one to be in the driver's seat about that, they're more likely to come to you and ask for that support. And you can then say, what is it that you need from me? How can I be helpful to you? Is there something that would be more encouraging for you to be able to do this? So I'm also going to provide a link down below for the Kelty Mental Health resource page, and they have a PDF on their website that talks a lot about meal support. It is more geared towards families who are supporting children, but I think it also gives you a good kind of snapshot of the type of language that you can use with somebody who is struggling with eating more, and how to be a kind of consistent, calm, and confident model of eating a meal, and to be there as a support for that person. So I'm going to put the link down below for that. And for those of you who don't know, the Kelty Mental Health Resource Center is located in Vancouver, British Columbia, and their website has all kinds of resources for family, friends, and individuals who are experiencing eating disorders. So have a look at that. It's a really interesting resource. You might find something that's very helpful on there. Now, my next tip would be to offer to attend family and friend support events. And the program that your loved one is attending might actually offer some of these things. It might be a part of their program that they're already attending, that they offer maybe a workshop or a family support group or something like that. So if you're available, especially if your loved one has asked you to attend an event like this, that would be a really great way to be a support to them. If they haven't asked you about it, you can even search for some of these things on your own. Try Googling them. You might be able to find something available in your area, and you might find that this is actually a way to not only support your loved one, but that you're able to connect with other people that are in a similar situation as you are, that you can get support yourself. You can talk to other parents or other friends and family members of loved ones, and to be able to have your own network, your own support group, and something that's quite a unique situation that not everyone can relate to. So that would be a really helpful way for you to be able to not only help your loved one, but to find some support for yourself. Now, I'm going to talk about this in another video, but with eating disorders, there's so much beneath the surface. Like if we imagine, an iceberg that's got its head popped out of the water and the water's here, the eating disorder issues, the difficulty with eating, or the difficulty with over-exercising, the experiences of how you feel about your body and that type of thing, that's just the beginning of it. That's just what we can see above the surface of the water. And there's so much going on below the surface. So one of my tips would be to be available to your loved one, to be able to talk about those things that are beneath the surface, the things that might be contributing to their eating disorder or causing them to not feel great about themselves, so that they're being motivated to have an eating disorder. If you're available to talk about those things, the stresses that are going on in their lives, the things that are making them not feel great about themselves, the relationships that are challenging, the aspects that are impacting their self-esteem, that's a really helpful way to be able to support the loved one that you have that is challenged with an eating disorder without even having to talk about the eating disorder itself. And it would really go a long way to help them to feel like they have somewhere that they can go that's safe, that they can talk about these things that are bothering them. And I really want to kind of hit home with this as well, that eating disorders are not all about food. Yes, there is that food component, because so much of this revolves around eating more and monitoring calories and that type of thing. But a lot of people will say it's not about food. It's not just about that food. So really getting a sense of what's going on below the surface for that person is really important for you to understand more of where they're coming from and why this is happening to them. Now, my last tip is one that I wish I could just sprinkle around the whole world so everybody could hear it. Like, let me scream it from the rooftops. Do not talk about diets. Diets and diet talk should be completely eliminated from your vocabulary and your conversations, because number one, it does not help our culture in general to be talking about dieting and wanting to be thinner and really placing that value on having a specific body type. But it really impacts the people that are in your life that are suffering from eating disorders. So what that looks like is not talking about diets, not talking about your own body, not talking about how you should or shouldn't be eating certain things, how you should or shouldn't be exercising. Completely stop talking about it. don't ask this person for any advice, right? You might be under the impression that because this person is struggling with an eating disorder, that they have a lot more knowledge about food or exercising and how to, maintain a specific body type. This is not something that you need to ask them for help with. And some people watching this video might be saying, well, why would I ever ask that? Trust me, people ask people with eating disorders for diet advice all the time. And so if you're one of those people that even if it's a curiosity of yours, I would definitely recommend keep that curiosity to yourself. It's not going to help anybody. And then what I would add on to the end of this as well is not to give any kind of dieting or eating advice. You might have something that works really well for you, but I would say keep that to yourself. Absolutely keep that to yourself, because it's not going to help the person who's suffering from an eating disorder. If anything, it's just going to give them the message that what they're doing is wrong or that they should be doing something differently. And like I said in my previous tip, it's not all about food. And so the more we try to make it about food, the more confusing it can get, and it doesn't actually help the person who is experiencing the eating disorder themselves. So as we finish up, let's do a recap. The goal of connecting with your loved one who has an eating disorder is to be on their side and to be an ally. It's about weathering the storm because there are going to be ups and downs. Recovery from an eating disorder is a process. Relapse is a very normal part of an eating disorder, so there are going to be good days and there are going to be absolutely horrible days. And that's normal and it's to be expected. So your job in this situation is to weather the storm with them, to be with them through the good and the bad. And the goal is to keep this person close to you rather than pushing them away, and to, help them and support them through their eating disorder recovery rather than doing things that are going to actually enable it or to make it more challenging them to engage in recovery behaviors. And if I could give you a recommendation, something just to take home and start doing right now, the more you can practice seeing things from your loved one's perspective, even if that's an incredibly challenging thing for you to do because you may not have had an eating disorder yourself, but the more you can see things from their perspective, how incredibly difficult this is for them, the better off you'll be. The more you can validate how they're feeling, that this is challenging for them, this is something that's a massive mountain for them to climb, the more likely they are to want to seek support from you and to open up and share more with you. And also to respect and understand that maybe they don't want to share anything and they're not ready, and that has nothing to do with the quality of your relationship or their love and affection for you or their trust in you, but that this is a very, very challenging disorder to overcome, and it's a very private thing for many people. So you're really wanting to show your loved one that you're there for them, but also understanding that if they're not ready to talk to you about it, that that's okay as well. If you are a friend or a family member of somebody who has an eating disorder, what is something that you have found effective in order to be a support to them? I'm really curious in knowing, so please leave a comment in the comment section below and let us know what you found to be effective in helping this person through their recovery process, or maybe something that you found to just be helpful for yourself because it's challenging, like I said, for the entire network of people in this person's life. So what is something that you have found to be helpful for you or for your loved one? If you found this video to be helpful, leave a comment in the comment section below, give it a like, share it with a friend, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. This is just the beginning of our eating disorder series on this channel, so if you have any topics that you think would be interesting for us to cover, send us an email or leave a comment in the comment section below, because we want to cover all the topics out there. Our practice at Parallel Wellness works with clients both individually and family settings. So if you're interested in booking an appointment, go to our website at parallelwellness.ca, go to the top right-hand corner to book online, and you can book an appointment in either Burnaby or North Vancouver. On our website, you'll find complete biographies of all of our counselors so you can learn more about who you might be seeing in therapy. We love to be social and be a source of positive and informative messages online. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where we also share about important events and upcoming workshops. And don't forget to check out our next video on Wednesday next week, where we're going to be talking about the common myths and misconceptions of eating disorders. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you in the next video.